Welcome to Bricks of Norway.
Hi there, my name is Paul. In the last couple of videos, I've been giving a quick tour through the exhibition called Kloss 22, and I've done the video about some of the builds and some of my experience with Kloss 22. And in today's video, I thought I was going to talk about what I displayed. I guess most of you know what I displayed. It was Classic Space. But now I thought I would show you my displays. The focus for this exhibition has the last year been to display old classic space. But since LEGO introduced and released 10497 Galaxy Explorer, things changed a little bit. Well, I started to build something new. As some of you might remember, I made a missing moon base for the 10497 Galaxy Explorer this summer, which I entered in a contest. After that, I started doing some mods for the LL924 and LL918. As you will see in this video, I have two of the LL918. The first version of my mod and the second one with the retractable landing gear. We'll also see a small spaceship, LL914, and a bigger spaceship called LL938. I also built a modern version of the command center, set number 926. That's my favorite classic space set from the 70s and 80s, and that was the only big set I had in that period. I only had some small spaceships and some cars. So that's a special set for me. That's why I made a new version of that set. After having planned and almost built the 926 command base, I started thinking about doing something else. I wanted to try to do some landscape that was not the original crater plate. But I wanted to try something else, so I started with a base plate 48 by 48, a little landscape that you can drive your moon buggy across over the top, a small hill just. And I wanted to make another one a little bit bigger, well, still the same size, 48 by 48, but a little higher, and place a building on top. Some kind of radar tower or something, or communication tower or building. And when I started on the second base plate, I had finished the first one. I thought, what if I drove over the first one to get to the second one? And luckily, my design fitted together. So if I drove over the first one, I could drive up to the next one. I just had to remove a couple of pieces to get it to really fit. I loved some of the details. I loved the landscape. It was fun building a landscape that was not the standard crater plate. A couple of days before the exhibition, I was bored in the morning. I'm waiting for bricks from LEGO, so I can't finish my radar tower or the big spaceship LL938. But I want to do something. So I started building something completely new. So I kind of made a crater that looks fake, and it's supposed to look fake, and it's supposed to look like a human has made to try to camouflage something. So it's supposed to be fake, but it's supposed to look like it has been made to look like the real thing, if you understand what I mean. Inside that crater, I put a lid that I can open, and a big rocket emerging from the crater. And this build was a bit problematic for me. Not building it, but the build looks like some kind of weapon, and I really don't like the weapon in Classic Space. For me, Classic Space is a peaceful moon base where everyone is working in harmony. And I don't call the things in front of the spaceships for laser guns. I call it some kind of radar or communication device. I know that some of them have some light on the front, so okay, that might not fit with my dreams, but that's what I like to think. But this rocket seems like an intercontinental missile. Yeah, it's a bit problematic. Would I decided to finish it and display it? Well, I tried to put lights down in the crater to simulate that the rocket was about to have liftoff, and I used it for a couple of the small spaceships. And those two small spaceships are, of course, set number 885 space scooter and set number 891 two-seater space scooter. Those are the only spaceships I had in my youth from the classic space. So that's why I had to make them in the modern classic space, and I used these lights on these ships as well. As you can see, they are elevated above the base plate, and no visible wires. That's because there are no wires, and that's why the base plate with the fake crater is elevated. I said that it's a wireless lights, and it is. It's made by induction. So the magnetic spool is placed underneath the base plate. In the morning, when my fellow space enthusiast showed up with his spaceships, his own 918, 924 and 928, the 928 was equipped with a lighting kit. The 918 and 924 was completely stock. And so they are the ones you can see elevated on the transclear 1x2x5 bricks. So we had 2 928s, 2 924s, and 3 918s. All the base plates were mine, and all the buildings and all the cars were mine. Petter has more, but I was driving, he wasn't driving. He was carrying this on the bus. His display on the bus. Those two cars and those 3 spaceships. As you can see on the picture here, my wife's car was quite full, and on this picture I've already taken out some stuff. And I folded down the rear seat to use this full luggage compartment for Lego. The old classic space, or the classic space, as I called it earlier, is all mine except for a couple of the crater plates that I borrowed from Petter. He has a much larger collection of classic space than me, but since he was traveling by bus, there was no reason for him to bring any of it this time. Perhaps next year we'll have a larger display. And it's not, I forgot some sets. For instance, 885 space scooter and 891 two-seater space scooter, my favorite spaceships from that era, and the old ones I got. I forgot them. And on Friday evening and Saturday morning before going to the exhibition, I tried to look for it. And where are they? But I couldn't find them, and still haven't found them. And I also forgot some of my own builds, some radar trucks that I built and published on Brick Bull. I only had one of them with me, but I had some. Well, yeah. The main focus on bringing the old classic space was to show the difference between the originals from the 1970s and 80s and the new ones. Well, and what I've built in these days. So I was thinking of just bringing in the 918, 924 and 928, but I wanted to have the moon base and I wanted to have 926 since I built a modern version of it. I built a large spaceship there in the classic space, and a larger moon base. I brought those, and I bought some other cars and some smaller spaceships. So it was almost every classic space I have, but not everything, but most of it. The fun thing was when I was watching people come by on the exhibition, Uh, I listened to what mostly the fathers said to their child. Oh, I remember this one. I had this one as a child. And sometimes I told them, well, you don't remember these. You remember those over there. That's the one you remember from the 70s and 80s. These are the new modern ones. And I got surprised because they didn't know there was a new one, and they thought that it actually was their old sets. And it was very fun to talk to people about their memories of the classic space, which sets they had and what they used to build with them, and how they missed them, and that they wanted to try to rebuild them, or trying to buy them again since someone has sold them over the years or given them away. But it was very, very fun to talk with people, and younger people than myself. That's, I guess, too young to remember the classic space as they were in the 70s and 80s, but still had memories of those sets. Probably because of some older brothers or sisters having a classic space. So they have inherited or just borrowed it, or visited a cousin or something, or someone else who had the classic space sets. But there were some women, and I talked to some of them, and some of them were very enthusiastic. Had some great conversations with a couple of them, trying to make them enlist in the local lug. On Saturday morning, it was bright sun, and I was placed next to the window, the only windows in the exhibition hall. That was just behind me, and some of the others that were displaying the things. They didn't have any shades on those windows, so it was quite hard to stay there and talk to people, because if you looked at the window you couldn't see anything. So I actually had to go and get my sunglasses if I were going to look at the window. The sun was so bright. So next time I'm not going to be placed next to those windows unless there are some kind of shades there. But on Sunday I called in a friend of mine to help me. Because I thought that I would be alone, that Petter wouldn't have a chance to be there on Sunday, but he was. A friend of mine, Erik, was there to help me, luckily. So I got a little bit time to go walk around and talk to people and have some food. I thought I should say something more about the exhibition. On a Saturday evening, we were having a three-course dinner for all the participants, or that were displaying things. Well, not all were along, but most of the people was there. That was was a good time. We had some competitions afterwards. The 914 is a smaller version of the 918. It's not that many differences from the 918, but it's a little bit smaller. But it's hard to make it smaller and still use the same canopy, because it's quite large. And the larger one, LL938, yeah, it's large. It's larger. It's 97 studs long and 55, 56 studs wide, I think. And you have the double cockpit in front. You have the double ramp back to drive cars in and out of the cargo space. And twice as many engines, rocket engines. And it's not as detailed as the 928 as the Lego designers did, but I'm still quite happy with it. I have some space for resting area or sleeping area for the astronauts. I have a small tea kitchen with some glasses and a little table. And in front of the LL928 you'll notice a little truck with a special cargo. I thought that, well, sometimes they need to do maintenance on the spaceships, so that truck has a spare engine. And behind the 928 you will see a moon buggy space for 2 astronauts on it. And we'll also see another truck, a little small truck. Yeah, it looks like a little maintenance truck, but it's supposed to be for collecting samples. It has a shovel and a little cargo room behind the astronauts to have samples. We'll see the 889 radar truck. We'll also see a completely different car with a small unmanned rover, remote controlled rover behind it on the way up to the false crater. Also something as I just threw together an evening when I was bored and just found a piece that, what can I use this for? And an idea for an unmanned rover appeared. I'll try to do some more details about my builds later when I have them home and can take pictures of them more closely. And the channel is still growing. My video about the missing moon base is at 9,400 views now, 166 subscribers, so still growing. Now, I love to know where you are from. And on my top list of subscribers is from the States, Germany, and UK. Hi there, it's me again. I just remembered that I had forgotten something when I was editing this video. Some of my builds I entered in a competition at the exhibition. Main project build was the 938, and I got on third place for that. And I'm very satisfied with that, getting on third place first time I entering and build in a competition like this in the category for sci-fi and adventure. Please continue liking and subscribing and commenting. Enjoy!